or outside? This is overwhelming. I can't imagine from the chance meeting at One Such Farms a year ago that this evening has happened. I'm overwhelmed, I'm deeply moved, but I'm going to try to stay on topic. And when I start talking about the work that we do with Rolling Harvest Food Rescue, it's hard for me to keep quiet, and I'm going to try to keep it to 5 minutes. All right, somebody give me the sign. I want to thank Jill. It is rare that I meet someone with such a compassionate heart and unbridled creativity to put together an evening like this. Jill and Stephen, your support and your encouragement and your determination to make sure those Applegate hot dogs didn't die in vain, we are so grateful. And Melissa and Christopher, your gift of this night, your exquisite food, your energy, I cannot thank you enough. We are so, so grateful. I do want to give a shout out to my sister Lynn, who has basically sacrificed the whole day to make sure that all the volunteers and the staff and everybody was in support felt the love of food too. And she cooked an incredible meal. She's been back in the house. She's been in the kitchen missing out on this, and I love you. Basically, we have got the most extraordinary volunteers with Rolling Harvest Food Rescue. And I'll tell you in just a minute, I guess why people are inspired to do what they do, but it couldn't happen without the volunteers. And it's a beautiful thing when we have something that we need and people drop everything and just come to pick up at a farm or stop construction or whatever they're doing for a minute and bring their truck around to pick up 60 ears of corn that John Yerkes happened to pick for us. So let me just tell you a minute that it really was surprising to me to come here a few years ago and to even realize there was a food pantry in Lambertville and New Hope. Most of you are from this area, I guess? Yeah. Why would there be a food pantry when there's affluence and there's prosperity around? But the fact is there is. In Bucks County alone, to really bring this close to home, and as Jill said, this is your neighbors, it was a shock to learn. But I volunteered at a food pantry, and I started to get my eyes wide open. And at the same week I started volunteering at Fisherman's Mark Food Pantry, the New Hope Farm Market opened up. Gorgeous, organic, beautiful stuff. Maybe at this point I understand that was not an accidental sort of subsequent, coincidental events. And I would go to the food pantry and I would hand out the Kraft macaroni and cheese and the Dinty Moore beef stew and some tomatoes that would come in styrofoam packages, grown to perfection, but with no taste. And I would leave the food pantry, just because I had a little bit of money, I had a car. I could go to the New Hope Farmers Market and fill my car up with this beautiful stuff, and I could go home and eat amazing food, grown locally, right here. It felt so good. I could share this with my family. And the next day I'd go right back to the food pantry, and I'd be handing out cans of soup with 45% sodium. And it just occurred to me, it's a very courageous thing to come into a food pantry and a shelter and ask for help. You're at your most vulnerable. And these are people who are looking to us to help them get their lives back on track, to keep their kids nourished so they can do better in school. And the shocking thing is that I've learned in Bucks County there's 64,000 people who are considered food insecure. That means you're not sure where your next meal's coming from. That means you're making decisions. Am I going to take this medicine my doctor told me to, or am I going to feed my family? 64,000 people right here in Bucks County represents 12% of our population. And it's all over the counties, in the most affluent areas, and it's in the most humble areas. And what I want to keep in mind for you is 12% of those, 15% are children. So when you think about recipients in a food pantry, when you think about people coming to a shelter for help, the old stereotypes don't apply anymore, especially with the downturn, the economic downturn. The face of hunger that we're seeing is a face that is our neighbor. It's the bus driver, as Jill said. It's somebody whose house is underwater and they have to choose between mortgage and fresh vegetables. And the final thing about what really motivated me, when I learned that 97% of people who come into food pantries will not get fresh fruits and vegetables if the pantry doesn't provide it. It's just too expensive. So what happened is we started to ask farmers. They started to love the idea. We said, we'll make it easy for you. We'll come to you. When do you do your inventory? When is your market finished? And if Mother Nature hasn't been kind and it's rained, they have these beautiful vegetables they can't sell at market. Long story short, we are achieving our goal. We've got 28 hunger relief sites, a lot of them here in Bucks County, but also over in Hunterdon County. And there's an abundance of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, locally grown. I know it means a lot to the families. What really surprised me is what it meant to the farmers. Farmers work so hard to get their food to market, and especially organic farmers. You've got a weed. It takes so much labor and love. They don't want to plow food under. So we've given them an outlet. Rolling Harvest Food Rescue shows up to the farmers. They do all the work. They've picked it, they've grown it, they've packaged it. All we do is transport it and make sure it gets to people who really need it, and make sure that we honor the gift from the farmers, that it's not going to go to waste. And people will learn how to cook kohlrabi and how to cook kale, as you said. That's a really important thing. So I want to thank my volunteers, Rolling Harvest Food Rescue volunteers. You're amazing. I want to thank, a lot of you are here because you knew it was going to be a great party, but a lot of you came because you were going to be supporting us, and I am so grateful. Okay, a couple of acknowledgments. First of all, I'm going to be at the table in the back at the end of the event. I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine, I can promise you that. But if you want to talk, if you want to know more, if you want to learn what we're doing, if you'd like to help us out, I'll be at the back table there. I welcome your emails. I welcome you to go to Facebook and see what we do on a daily basis. And I would also like you to support the farms, as Jill said, and I would really like you to welcome or help me to acknowledge some very recent gifts. The support is growing, our message is getting out there. And as recently as yesterday, we received very nice support from the Bucks County Housing Group. Thank you. The United Way of Bucks County has asked us to partner with them. They actually raised money, and we're going to be able to give our farmers money for their fruits and vegetables. And I know I'm going to mess this up, but there's a couple of people here from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. All I knew is they were some guys, some people who just wanted to get out of their suits and their lawyers, and they wanted a day picking potatoes with me and seeing what we do. We had a lot of fun. We made a lot of significant help to a lot of different sites, and we never left a 2-mile radius of New Hope and Lambertville. And at the end of the day, they said, Cathy, wow, you really do need a truck. Here's $25,000. So now I need to get the name right. Robert Wood Johnson, President's Grant of the Princeton Area Foundation. Close enough? Close enough? Thank you all for being here. This is an enormous, enormous moment for all of us.